Welcome to the Zandbergen Report, where wealth strategies and pop culture collide, featuring your distinguished host and certified financial planner, Bart Zandbergen.
Welcome to our show of Dream Chasers and Wealth Makers. We are thrilled to be back in the studio today with a new episode of the Zandbergen Report. I'm proud to bring you in the movers, shakers, and difference makers who are passionate about what they have learned and what you need to know today. And today, we have a repeat offender back almost exactly 1 year ago.
Yes, it is.
That's crazy. Chris Gialanella.
Right. You said it right, too, Bart.
I said it right. Gialanella from New Jersey.
That's right. Jersey boy in the house.
So Chris has a wonderful past. It looks like you kind of started in politics, right? Or you were going down that path before you got into publishing?
I did do the politics route at some point in my life after college.
Yeah.
Moved to D.C., worked on the Hill.
Yeah.
And now here I am living in Southern California.
Yeah.
Running magazines. So how does that happen, right? Who knows?
Why don't you give a little brief background as to how that happened?
Yeah, so Bart, good to see you again. Thanks for having me on the show.
Likewise.
I always enjoy chatting with you and seeing you. I started my career in Los Angeles in, 1994. I moved out here from Jersey, and I worked for a company that distributed press releases, videos, movies. So I had the Academy Award list. So I was like, the most sought out guy in town. I got all the free movies, went to all the fun parties. So that was sort of my first job out of college.
Nothing's really changed there.
Then,
You're still.
I'm kind of doing the same thing in another light. And then I moved to the magazine world in 2000 with Modern Luxury. Started with Angeleno Magazine, knocking on doors, hitting people up for ads, and doing all that stuff, which I kind of do today too, right? So not a lot has changed in 20 years. So now I oversee the Southern California market from Palm Springs to Orange County. So that's kind of my world. Yeah. And I love connecting and meeting people and being out and about. So it's great, Bart, that we get to a year later, we're doing what we did last year at this time, right? Before the shutdown.
Yeah, just kind of starting.
Exactly.
I do have to ask, I know we've had several conversations, we're friends, and I know your son is into politics, at least it's a passion of his. Is that anything to do with you and your
it's funny. Oh, I didn't even tell you. Yeah, so I did work for a congressman from New Jersey, Dean Gallo, right after college, and worked on the Hill, loved it. And then after a while, my parents said, "Are you going to get a job that's going to pay any money?" I was like, "Oh, okay, I guess I have to do that." So anyway, my political career ended because I simply couldn't get paid to do it. Yeah. So I wound up moving back to New Jersey. But maybe it's in my son's, I don't know, maybe it's in his DNA because he started a nonprofit called GovLearn, and originally it was about educating the youth how politics works. So basically he felt there was a lack of education in the elementary middle schools for kids to really learn what does the legislative branch do, what does the president do. So really he felt that there was something missing, and the goal is when these kids turn 18 they can make an educated vote. So it's a nonpartisan organization that he started. He's on year 4. We just got our 503, I never know the correct word, 5013C. So my son always wants to hit C3. Thank you, Bart. That's Luke's world. So now we're fundraising and, trying to find ways to get the word out. He's going to be on CBS News in 3 weeks. We just filmed the segment. Wow. So and he's killing it.
At the ripe old age of?
He's 15. So I started this at 9, and now he's 15. Oh. So that's what he's doing.
All right.
You'll have to have him on the show.
Wow. Right? I don't know if I could keep up with him politically. No, there's no way. There's no way.
You never know.
Yeah. So we were chatting. We determined that we were together on the show probably a week before, we'll call it the shutdown last March.
Correct.
So here we are a year later.
And we were talking about things that just never happened at that time, right? Because we
had events coming up.
So many events that were wound up getting canceled, and who knew what the world was going to be like, right? Or little did we know. We thought it was temporary too. I remember thinking, okay, 3 weeks, my son has spring break, then I'll be back at school, but that did not happen.
Wow, what a year. What a year.
But, it was interesting. It was a very interesting year for us in the publishing world because obviously I think the word that everyone's using is pivot, which we had to do as well. And we started doing a lot more meaningful things. Obviously, Modern Luxury has always been about luxury lifestyle, shopping, travel, dining. But it just didn't make any sense to talk about those things, especially when people were losing their jobs and people were losing their homes, and this disease was hurting and killing so many people. So we actually did an issue back in May called the Hope Issue, where we honored all the frontline workers, from police officers to doctors to some celebrities and what they were doing. So it was actually a really meaningful issue for us. And, and my job at the time was really trying to find revenue, because we lost a lot of revenue at the time of advertisers, and it made sense. Like nobody was shopping, nobody was traveling. So why put an ad in? So we did different types of ads. We had thank you ads and things like that. So it turned out to be a very nice issue. Mr. Brainwash, who's a great artist up in LA, he did our cover, which was a balloon, and the balloon represented, all of America, and we're all one, and it was actually kind of meaningful for us. So, we got through it, and here we are today, Bart.
So is there a significant change in even the last month or so with what you're seeing in the way of advertisers, activity, et cetera?
Yeah, we're seeing it. Obviously, I've always been optimistic, and I always kind of looked at the bright side of everything. And now we're seeing an upswing, and we're seeing, hospitality is coming back, and retail. And I think at some point, we're hearing the roaring 20s, but I think the economy is going to be on fire, especially Q3, Q4. Once everyone is ready to get back to work, and this vaccine is doing what it's meant to do for those who decided to get the vaccine, I think we're going to be back to a really good place. And I think we've all been locked up long enough that I think everyone's going to be ready to move on and enjoy life again.
All right, everyone, you've heard it here first. The economy is picking up steam.
It sure
World
is.
according to Chris.
But, it's funny. Some of the categories of business, like real estate, has been on fire all year.
Unbelievable.
Which we can't believe. Who would have thought that would have happened? But I guess, people are building, and moving into, second homes, and really want to be out and enjoy their homes a lot more. Creating these utopia lifestyles, and your home is now your vacation. So we're seeing a lot of that.
And areas like the desert and Big Bear, where moderately priced homes have gone off the chart because they're within driving distance, right?
Yeah,
flying.
No,
so
exactly.
There's always lemonade out of lemons.
No, I agree. And Palm Springs is on fire. I'm spending a lot more time out there. They're seeing an influx of so many, Southern California people from Orange County, San Diego, LA, all moving out to the desert. You're right.
Yeah.
And I did go to Big Bear a couple times, which, I kind of like it in a way, because I think we're all so used to getting on planes and traveling to all these destinations, but we have so many great things in our backyard.
Right in the backyard, yep.
So I think that's been a nice touch point of this pandemic, that we could actually enjoy what's around us.
Right. I think we could spend a whole show just on those touch points of how people's lives have changed, what they're doing differently now. And quite frankly, I think there's a lot of people, myself included, that there's things that they're, once did, they're doing differently now and may never go back.
No, exactly. I agree. I mean, you've got that beautiful new office, Bart. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I mean,
appreciate
it's
it.
Phenomenal. And you've been doing this, connecting people through the podcast world for a while. What changes have you kind of seen happening in this world?
Yeah. So, kind of interesting. We pivot, we adapt, right? So our world went remote, so instead of face-to-face meetings, we've all done, I guess Zoom is like the Kleenex, right? So it's the teleconferencing word. So that certainly has been a change, but what we're also seeing now is that people are feeling more comfortable. People are getting vaccinated. They want to get out. They want to see people. I think there's been a lot more introspection as to what's important. Part of my job is to make sure that people reach their goals and objectives, and we've seen an adjustment in what those goals and objectives are. I see people spending more time with their family and loved ones, and guess what? They're actually enjoying it.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, we all got the gift of time, right? Which I think is awesome, and you can't ever take that away. So we're blessed that we've got great families that we actually like to be around, right?
That's right.
Up to a point, right? But it's been a remarkable thing, especially, we all have kids, and my kid's a high schooler, and I have to say, in the beginning, he was excited about being home and virtual learning. But then after a while, it's like, where's the socialization?
Yeah.
Where's the meeting up with friends at the mall and all that kind of good stuff? So, I'm looking forward to him getting back to a good place, because I couldn't imagine being in high school in New Jersey in this situation with my parents. It would be crazy.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot to learn, and I think our kids are going to be better for it in the end.
Yeah.
For
There's
sure.
a lot to learn, and there's a lot to be learned. I mean, I believe the history books will tell us, in years from now, we'll look back and, in the way of mental health and the way of business and finance and really more about the disease. So I think everyone's doing the best they can, making decisions the best that they can. Clearly not all of them were probably the best, but we do the best we can.
You do the best you can, and even, we're all, and you've been like me. I mean, you've been, out and about doing your thing and trying to get out there and, be seen, and I'm kind of doing the same. So, I mean, for me, I don't like to sit home all day and be on Zoom. I feel I want to be in front of people, and obviously keeping the safe distance. So, I've been lucky that I've been able to do that, and knock on wood, have been okay so far. So, who knows? Who knows?
So what are some new highlights with Riviera? What's going to happen now?
Well, it's funny. I'm planning our first event, which you'll be invited to. We're hosting a small dinner party. I think that's going to be really something new that we're going to start doing, is more of these intimate gatherings that have a lot more meaning. I think the days of the big red carpet events with all these people coming and eating, and it's going to kind of change. So we're doing more of a dinner party style event. My friend Ron Salisbury, who owns the Cannery in Louis-on-the-Bay, he's going to be hosting a little gathering through one of our whiskey partners, Garrison Brothers. So we're going to be doing a small dinner party at the end of May.
All right.
Is it the end of May? Yeah.
March, April, May.
Wait, end of April? End of May. Sorry.
Upcoming.
I can't keep track of these dates. So anyway, that's going to be, I'm sorry, the end of March.
Oh, end of
which
March.
Is heading in
That's 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks. Sorry.
Right.
So I'm planning that right now. So again, it's connecting people, and I think also everyone's going to want to have a voice. Everyone's going to want to be around and really talk about what they've been through over the past year. Yeah. I remember we launched Riviera Magazine on September 11th of 2001, and that week we were planning on having our launch party, and we were questioning, is it appropriate to have a party on the week of September 11th? But we actually had the gathering on that Thursday. I think it was September 14th or so.
Yeah.
And honestly, everyone really was happy to get out of their house, talk about what was happening in the world. And again, I think that's what everyone's going to want. So obviously we're going to keep socially distant. Everyone's going to have masks on, and we're do it right. But I think everybody really misses that in-person meeting. The Zooms can go a long way, but I think it's time to do that. So we're starting again to get into that world of smaller, intimate events. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah. We run into the same thing, obviously, just having opened the office about a month ago, and I'm getting, I'm going to call it pressure. People are excited. Like, when are you having your open house party? The answer is, well, we can't do the big party that we had hoped, at least not now.
Yeah.
So what we're thinking about doing is having just some really small, intimate, pockets of mingling, open house, and then maybe at some point when it's very safe, maybe in the summer.
And you get to really have quality conversations with people.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen me at some of these big events where you have like a second to say hello to somebody, and then you're running off to the next person. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
All of it, to be honest with you. So, Bart, you always ask so many questions of everybody. I want to turn the tables a little bit.
All right.
I want to ask you some things that I'm really curious about. So, obviously, the year, like we said, has been a whirlwind for you. And like in your world of wealth management, and how is it evolving throughout COVID?
So, I think the connection with our clients has gotten stronger, be it Zoom or whatever, just because the thought process more has first of all, has changed. Like I mentioned earlier, what's important to us now? Is it the parties and going out, or is it really just kind of focusing on family, focusing on health, health has been a big one, by the way, focusing on health, and health, longevity, and just being around people, family and friends.
And it's interesting. So you launched your own practice, the Zandbergen Group, after 30 years as a wealth advisor. What inspired you to do this? Like, what inspired this change?
So it's something that I've thought of, so like you said, it's like 29 years in business, almost 30, and, probably 10 years in, I always thought, how wonderful, to have your own firm. I had some great associations. I've always had my own practice. I've just been associated with other firms. And, the things happen in life sometimes that look like, you go, why did this happen? This seems like such a terrible thing. And at the end, it ends up being one of the best things that's ever happened. Well, I don't want to go into the details. That's kind of what happened for me. Again, it seemed really awful. I'm now looking back, it's been about 6 months since we started the firm. And the most frequent question I get is, well, why haven't you done this earlier? It seems like, you should have done this. But I really wanted more flexibility, more leadership in the direction knowing to take not only the firm and recommendations to my clients, et cetera. And so that's where I am.
And now you get to focus more intimate time with your clients, for your firm, and they'll probably appreciate it a lot more as well.
I think so. They seem to, yeah.
And then basically, so you focus on true wealth, right? That's the majority of your practice. Can you describe to everyone out there, what does that really mean, true wealth?
So it's a concept that a couple of years into my business, I started to think about. So let me ask you. So when you hear the word wealth, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
I mean,
first thing, just gut reaction.
Wealth, success.
Okay, great. Yeah, success.
Is that what people say?
Well, money, abundance, right? And I certainly think that's one of the components, but I've spent years kind of creating what I think are the tenets of true wealth. And first of all, so my definition of true wealth is things that money cannot buy and death cannot take away. Mm-hmm. So if you look at it in that perspective, there's quite a few. The first to me is health. I think health is the ultimate wealth.
I agree.
There's so many times I've seen it over and over where people, like drivers like you and I, work so hard, and this isn't you and I, but people like us, and will do whatever they can to obtain their financial wealth, right, at the expense of their health. We see it all the time. And then they spend their latter years utilizing the wealth that they've created rapidly to try to regain their health. And so it's a terrible loop.
Like the opposite effect, right? And I feel like health always has to come first, because if you feel so good about, if you're taking care of your health, obviously you'll be more successful to build your wealth.
Right.
That's kind of how I look at it.
Oh, 100%.
For sure.
So, I mean, I'll just tell you all the tenets. We can spend some time if you want. So it's health, it's family and friends, just kind of seeking deeper relationships, spiritual. I think, the recognition or feeling that there is a greater being. Everyone has their own. For me, it's God. Other people have others. It's whatever it is. An interesting study, and I cannot remember which book. It was a very popular book, or is. And they did a study of thousands of centurions, people who are over 100.
Right.
And there was a lot of commonalities, but one of them there was 5 commonalities, but one was they all had a belief in a higher being. And by the way, the other ones were none of them were vegetarians and they all drank.
Right, exactly. And smoked at some point in their lives too, right?
I didn't see that one. But I think service to others, and that's a way of giving and philanthropy. Legacy, like putting a stamp on the future. What can I do today to leave my family, leave my life, leave what I've left behind better than if I was not here. Peace, more meaning in life, freedom from disturbance, the invisibles. And my wife actually helped me with this one as I was creating this list over the years, and she threw out the word the invisibles. I'm like, what do you mean by that, honey? And great examples. Like the other day, my 5-year-old came up and just out of the blue gave me a big hug. I love you, Papa. Like, she's like, invisible. Like, yeah, you can't. What kind of price can you put on that?
You can't put a price on that.
Yeah, and what else do you call it? It's an invisible.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Passions, what are you passionate about, right? And then the last one, we can't forget it, it is finance, right? So a feeling of abundance. So to me, that's what I work in helping my clients with, is we look at, yes, you have some financial goals and we're going to seek to make sure you have your financial abundance, but let's not let any of these other things go away. I've seen a number of people who are financially in amazing shape and depressed, right? So money isn't everything.
Exactly. I mean, who was the guy in New York City? Bernie Madoff. I mean, what he did and all the money he had at one point. Now look at him now. It's just crazy. Money does not buy success and wealth. and you wind up, in a situation that you don't want to be in.
Right.
It's sorry to go down that dark road of bringing up Mr. Madoff.
Sure, bring someone in my industry, throw the black eye at me.
But speaking of you, Bart, we're going to feature you in our upcoming Power Players feature that's going to run in June. And I'm excited about it.
That, by the way.
We're thrilled to have you be a part of it. I love this issue because I think, again, it's kind of like the issue that we're kind of reopening the doors and reimagining the magazine and really seeing the business leaders and what they've been doing. But what does the word power players mean to you, Bart?
My gut response is, for me, a power player is a difference maker, right? So when I got in this business, I transitioned from completely different business career. I was in the IT. And at the end of the day, I woke up one day and said, I just want to make a difference in people's lives. So the ability to do that, that's really what it means to me.
Yeah, and I love that. And obviously you've made such a change in Orange County's business, I'll say platform, because you are someone who cares. You care about what you do. You care about yourself. You care about your family. And I see you out there. I see you on social media. And you could tell just by who you are, you're someone that people want to be around. I think people trust you, Bart, and I think people really want to invest in you as a person, whether it's personally or business-wise, because you kind of have it out there. And I think for me, that's what makes somebody a power player, someone who has power but uses it in a very smart way. And I think that's who you are, Bart.
Well, that's very, very kind.
Expect all these compliments, did you?
For those who can't see me, I'm very red right now. I'm blushing.
Yeah. So, it's interesting with social media being so strong, the magazine world has changed quite a lot. Where we have a lot of people who want to brand themselves, and we all have a brand. Everyone has their Facebook profile. Everyone has their Instagram. And so we kind of want to elevate that a bit. And that's kind of where we've seen success in the publishing world is profiling individuals and doing a lot more in that sense, because everyone in my eyes is a celebrity, right? I really believe that.
Yeah.
So we like to bring those things to life. So we're thrilled to have you be a part of Power Players, and hopefully we'll be doing a celebration for Power Players soon, but I'll keep you posted on when that is.
Wonderful. I'm looking forward.
Yeah.
You must have some, I know you have some, not you must, I know you have some awesome stories of all the people you've met and events you've been to. Does one rise to the top?
The one that always rises to the top, and I'll fill you in, I was at a charity event in Hollywood about 2018 because it came up on my Facebook memories. And I don't usually get starstruck, but there's certain people who really do it to me. And one of them was Robert De Niro, right? So I was at a dinner, and he was sitting couple tables away, and the no is don't go up to someone's table and while they're eating and say, hey, can I? Anyway, I didn't know what to do because I really wanted to meet him.
Yeah.
And it was sort of like he came through the back door, we sat down, and then I knew he was going to be out the door any minute now. So I had to let me get in there. So I went in, and I actually tripped. As I was saying hello to him, I tripped, and it was super embarrassing. I had got up, and I said, look, I'm not that guy, but I've been a big fan, blah, blah, blah. And he said, okay, son, what do you want? And I said, I'd love to shake your hand and maybe take a picture. So we took a picture, and, I was so embarrassed, Bart, because it's so not who I am. But when I got the picture back, there was someone, what do they call those people behind you that make that funny face?
Oh,
right in there?
Yeah, what is that called, Danielle?
I don't remember what
Photobomber.
A photobomber. This random photobomber in the middle of my head and Robert De Niro's head. And I'm like, ugh, if it couldn't get any worse. But it actually symbolized how much of a hot mess that moment of life was. But he was nice. Yeah. And he took the picture, but God, did I feel stupid.
So now I do not have to ask my follow-up question, which was, what was your most embarrassing moment in your career?
That was pretty embarrassing. I should have. This is a really embarrassing moment. I'm not going to give any names out, but you have to learn whenever you send an email out, always make sure you'd want 10 people in the room to read it, right? And it makes sense. Anyway, I had just gotten back to work after my son was born, and I had lunch with a client, and the client didn't ask me one question about having a baby, what it was like to be a father. It was all about what they were doing.
Yeah.
And I was, quite frankly, disgusted, right? So I had gotten home, and I remember that night I had sent an email to a coworker saying how awful this person is, and I didn't really appreciate it, and blah, blah, blah. Well, I wound up sending that email to that person. And it wasn't those days where, you get on your phone. It was like, so I'm like, what can I do? What can I do? So I called this person's assistant who I had a relationship with and explained what happened. And I said, look, is there any way you can get into the emails? And because he had to go into the office to like delete the email. Yeah. They wound up doing that. So it never really came to fruition that anything had happened. But it was pretty awful, and my heart was beating.
What a stressful night.
My heart was beating like, oh my God, because I don't know. I had learned, never put anything in writing like that. It's a good lesson in business, right, Bart?
All right, so I'm putting that one down as
so
an
be careful
lesson
with that one. But yeah.
All right, other than that, any ultimate lessons learned?
One thing I learned, and obviously I've been with Modern Luxury for 20 years, I feel like I'm interviewing a lot of people for positions, and I'm meeting people who have been in a job for 6 months, 4 months. People move on a lot these days. And I'm not going to say there's anything wrong with that, but where's like the dedication? Where's the loyalty to businesses anymore? I feel like something lacking in sort of maybe that younger generation where everyone's always searching for something better. And I just feel that, in today's world, I'd love to find people who have passion and really want to make something a go and make it work, So probably one of the hardest people to interview when I have a job interview, because I see their resumes and I'm always like, what? 4 months here, 6 months there. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
So I wish there were people who were more loyal. Did I even answer your question? I don't even know what the question was now. I think I went on a tangent.
Ultimate lesson learned, but I think loyalty.
I like loyalty.
Yeah.
Right? I think that should be a nice lesson.
Yeah.
Right? So anyway.
So while I'm not, I'm going to play off that for a second. So while I'm not a huge sports fan, one thing I don't really understand, although I kind of do because everything goes around money, right? Especially in sports. Mm-hmm. How a player I'm just going to pick him out because he's the obvious one, and I don't think it was his decision, but someone like a Tom Brady who spent his entire career with the Patriots, and everyone there loves him and has done such a great job. It would seem to me, from a loyalty standpoint, either with the team owners or him, and again, not knowing enough about sports to know who made that decision, but why don't you end your career with the team that you spent all this time with, that you were associated with? So, and it's not just him. There's many players that seem to.
Well, what he did that was so remarkable is that he took everything he knew and brought it to a team that really needed the help and brought them to be Super Bowl victors, which I think is remarkable.
Including Gronkowski.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's a really smart guy, Tom Brady, and I think his leadership is up there. I mean, God bless that guy.
Yeah.
I think he's fantastic.
Didn't he just sign a contract for how many more years?
Oh, I don't even know. Is it 5?
5.
So he'll be my age, and he's still playing football.
Yeah.
He's 45 right now, or 44. I don't even know how old he is.
Do you know, Danielle, how old Tom Brady is?
She don't look it up.
She's going to look.
She don't look it up. But I'm excited. I think, especially what's happening in Southern California, I think everyone's going to be ready to go back to like baseball games, and the new stadium is coming where the Rams are going to be, and so there's just so many great things to look forward to. And I think we really need some good light at the end of this tunnel, right?
It just seems like people are chomping at the bit. I mean, there's been a huge comparison, and no politics here in this conversation, but Florida versus California. And Florida, I mean, the beaches, there's spring break and all what's happening there. I know California's taking a different path. So, well, I guess we'll see. But
we'll see.
The point is people are ready.
People are ready. But they do say California's economy is going to be on fire. So we're sitting in the right place right now, Bart, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully we'll see people happy, people spending money, people enjoying themselves, and people being healthy, right?
Yeah.
So
again, folks, you've heard it. Chris Gialanella, Economics 101, California.
Oh, there you go. Anyway.
All right. We're just about out of time. Anything else we need to know about the magazine?
So one thing I want to know about you. So during this pandemic, you obviously have been spending a lot of time at home. Are you cooking now? Are you mixing fun cocktails? Like, what's your favorite thing to cook? I always like that question.
Yeah, great question. So oddly enough, my wife, who has never been much of a chef, has really kind of stepped up. Ooh. So I've kind of fallen off the reservation, so to speak. I'm usually eat very plain, very clean, and so it's hard when she brings out something that might be a little more sauce than I'm used to. So it doesn't happen every night, but generally speaking, I kind of stick to the same old, just plain
The basic.
chicken, sweet potato.
Uh-huh. Old school.
Yeah.
All right, I hear you.
How about you?
Mine's always meatballs. I mean, the Jersey boy in me.
Yeah.
I love meatballs. I'm actually doing a meatball bake-off with an actor named Louis Lombardi. You may know him. He was on 24, The Sopranos. We did a pizza bake-off, and he's from the Bronx. I'm from New Jersey.
Yeah.
And it was kind of fun and something that was brought together through this pandemic. Hey, let's do something fun virtually. But we got together, and he actually won the pizza bake-off, but I challenged him to a meatball one, so that's going to be happening very soon. And when they try my meatballs, forget about it. So,
All right, so I know you're not going to tell us the recipe.
Oh, I can't. But my grandmother, God rest her soul, did give me her we called it her gravy pot, because in New Jersey we call it gravy, not sauce.
Yeah.
And literally, I think that's the secret ingredient is actually this amazing pot that was her mother's that I own. It's like if there's a fire in my house, that's what I'm going after first, right?
Do you cook the meatballs in? Can you answer this?
Sure.
Do you cook it in the sauce? I know that's
so.
one method.
I lightly fry them in oil because I feel like they need to have that really cool, crusty, rough edge, and then I cook them in the gravy.
Yeah,
I don't call it sauce, Bart. Come on. Yeah. So anyway, that's something that I love about being home so much is cooking and doing things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know for sure that you've kept your fitness program going. You said you were doing something at home.
Except for the chicken wings I had today. But yeah,
we will talk about that.
I've been enjoying the Zoom classes online, met a lot of great people. I do a class a couple days a week with a guy in the UK, which is great. He does boxing. I do a yoga class. I do another one with a guy in New York named Kyle Axman. I do some of his classes. And now I'm back at my gym here in Newport Beach, Stark. Yeah. So I'm doing my thing there. And, they've been through the mill, and they're trying to pivot what they're doing as well with virtual. But it's nice to be back. Obviously, everyone's safe and doing their thing. But honestly, I feel good. I feel healthy. And, I'm ready. I'm ready to tackle the world again.
Yeah. Health is the ultimate wealth.
You got it. You said it first.
All right. So, how can people reach you for anything, especially advertising?
Yeah. Well, hey, you want to advertise? You can reach out to me even on Instagram at Christopher Gia, ChristopherGia. Send me a DM, or you can go to modernluxurymedia.com and look at all our magazines. We're in 22 markets across the country. Got 85 brands at this point. So we're everywhere.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
Anyway, I'm very reachable. Right. I'm very approachable. And again, I love to talk to everybody. So hit me up.
Well, it's so odd that you like to talk. You don't come across like that at all.
Yeah, right? Exactly. But Bart, thanks for having me on the show again.
Of course.
A year later. I'll have to do this hopefully a year from now, right?
Anniversary.
Every March.
Yeah.
Let's do
that. Let's do that. Well,
thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks, everyone who has tuned in. Look forward to being back in the studio next week. Cheers.
Tune in next week for the latest edition of the Zandbergen Report, Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Catch up on our recent shows by visiting podcast.bartzandbergen.com. The Zandbergen Report is also available on iTunes, iHeartRadio and Spotify. Interested in being a featured guest on our show, or have a question you'd like to hear us answer? Email podcast@bartzandbergen.com. The contents of this podcast episode do not constitute an offer of securities or a solicitation of an offer to buy securities, and may not be relied upon in making an investment decision related to any investment offering Access Wealth Management LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Access does not warrant the accuracy or completeness of the information contained herein. Opinions are our current opinions and are subject to change without notice. Prices, quotes, rates are subject to change without notice. Generally, investments are not FDIC insured, not bank guaranteed, and may lose value. Brokerage services are offered through Tessera Capital, member FINRA.